In this tutorial, we are discussing about the second data type in Python, that is nothing but a float. Okay, float. So float is also a numeric data type in Python. Okay, so float means like any number with the decimal point. Okay, at the end, if it contains any decimal part, that number will be treated as a float data type in Python. Okay, so any number with decimal point will be considered as a float data type. For example, here if you see, here 1 is the integer part and it still contains decimal part like 0.245. So this x will be considered under float data type. Okay, same way if you see another example, y contains the integer part 9, but it still contains the decimal part 0.72. So this y will be considered under float data type. Okay, so in this way we can create floating point data types in Python. Let's see how this will work in ideally with one or two examples. Okay, let's move to the ideally. Now I have a variable called as a and it contains like 10.75. so now if I check the type of a, obviously it will give me float data type. Okay, same way if I have a if I have a variable called as cost, and cost is something like 2.45 paise. Okay, if in this case, if I check the type of this cost variable, my cost variable will comes under float data type. Okay, in real time most of the times anyway we are dealing with the currency, that should be considered as a float data type because currency should be accurate as always. Okay, now let us move to some node points which we need to discuss in the float data type. That is, those are nothing but like in float data type, not only the numbers, like we can give the exponential form of the, we can give some exponential forms as well. Okay, exponential form means e is standing for exponential in mathematics. So if we give some number like 1.2 e power 3, that means 1.2 into 10 power 3. So 10 power 3 is pointing to what? 1000. 1.2 into 1000 is nothing but 1200. So in this way we can, so in this way we can give we can use exponential numbers also in floating point floating point data type in Python. Let us see one or two examples with the help of exponential forms as well. Now if I take a variable called as 1.2 e power 3, now if I calculate x is 1200. See, because e power 3 is pointing to 10 power 3. So what is the use of this exponential form is like if we take the number in exponential form, then in just one, by using less memory we can store the maximum numbers. Okay, so this is the advantage. So let's see one more example for exponential form, like 4.7 e power 6. So it's something like what happening here is like 4.7 into 10 power 6. So 10 power 6 into 4.7. It will calculate this expression, and whatever the output we have, that it will give. So y value contains that value. See, y value contains something like 47 lakhs. So like this we can we can work with exponential forms also by using float data type. Okay, now let's see the last node point in this float. Okay, that is nothing but with floating point numbers. Okay, with floating point numbers we cannot convert. Okay, floating point numbers we cannot convert into decimal form, octal form, or hexadecimal. How we converted integers into different forms, that concept we cannot apply here in floating points. Please make a note of that. I hope all of you understand how to declare the floating point variables and how to declare the floating point variables with exponential forms as well. Thank you so much. Bye.